Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the YouTube world, CJ Rose back in the building. Welcome back to the channel. Word is born, love is love. Like, comment, subscribe, and do all the above. And if you ain't doing anything today, follow my Instagram. Ruger Rose 23 is a place to be. All right, so the Raw after WrestleMania has passed us by, and there's nothing really to write home about. But there are two things that I would like to discuss in terms of this Raw after WrestleMania. The second thing, we'll definitely get into in the next video because I got to talk about that. But this first thing, it has to do with one Cody Rhodes. You see, I didn't really get to talk about Cody Rhodes in this whole entire process of getting back to WWE. I have not talked about that because I was more of a, I'm more of a, I need to see it in order to believe it. And there were so many rumors going around talking about, oh, Cody Rhodes is going to WWE, or Cody Rhodes is signed, or Cody Rhodes not coming. You know, there was so much going on that it was like, all right, I don't know what to believe. So the only thing I can believe is if it happens on my television screen. And this past Saturday at WrestleMania, it was shown Cody Rhodes made his epic return at WrestleMania and delivered damn near a 5-star match against Seth Rollins. And it was pretty much, I think it was the best match on WrestleMania. Second, it's probably Edge versus AJ Styles, which kind of is what I was hoping, but I wanted them to kind of clash for that number one spot, but it's just that's just how I'm going about it. But it is what it is. So at the 8 o'clock hour, Cody Rhodes opened Raw, pretty much explaining why he came back. Now, if you follow Cody Rhodes in his first stint with WWE, then you know he had a lot, and I mean a lot, of potential. When I mean a lot, I mean dog. People were talking about when he finally got his singles run. They were talking about, damn, he could actually become world champion. And honestly, I believe the same thing. But Cody Rhodes did so much in his first stint that it was like, damn. Where can we go? Like, why isn't he world champion? Because think about it. Cody Rhodes came in. Of course, he's the son of Dusty Rhodes. So he came in 2007. That was the first time we ever saw Cody. Dusty was still alive at the time. So Dusty did maybe like a couple of matches. And, we saw Cody Rhodes then. Then 2008 is pretty much when Cody Rhodes... Was it 2008? No, it was like 2000. It was like late 2007 when he made his debut. Then he became tag team champions with Hardcore Holly, of all people. Now, mind you, Hardcore Holly don't like rookies, but for some reason he teamed up with a rookie and became tag team champions with him. Then in Night of Champions 2008, he turned his back on Hardcore Holly, then became tag team champions with Ted DiBiase Jr., the son of Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, who I miss. By the way, I miss Ted DiBiase Jr. That kid had a lot of potential too, bro. Good God. And then those two together became Legacy. Pretty much. Well, they weren't Legacy together, but they became a tag team. They were tag team champions. They were young. They were hungry. They looked good together. And then with Randy Orton, they became Legacy. A very underrated stable that could have been... No, they couldn't have been more. Because Rhodes and DiBiase were tag team champions. Randy Orton was a WWE champion. There wasn't much else they really could go. Unless both Cody and Ted were holding singles gold. But other than that, not much else they really could have did. Then from there, he got a singles run. as Dashing Cody Rhodes. Dashing Cody Rhodes. You know, he called himself, you know, one of the most beautiful man in WWE. And then Rey Mysterio and a random, I think it was like a random night match, whatever it is, broke Cody's nose. And then Cody became disfigured, and then he wasn't dashing anymore. Then he wore this face mask all the time while his nose healed, and then he put bags on the people's faces and things like that, and it was just a whole thing. But it worked. It was working. Like I think that got him over, but he just could not become world champion with that, which was stupid. Then his nose healed, and then that was 2011 into 2012. Then his nose healed. Then he went with his nose healed, and then I think he went to Rhodes. I think it was Rhodes Scholars. Yeah. Then he teamed up with Jamie and Sandow to form Rhodes Scholars, and then pretty much a little bit after that, Damien Sandow turned on him. And then Cody was able to team up with his brother, Dustin Rhodes. Or Dustin Reynolds, if you want to be a little farther, who's Dustin Rhodes on AEW. Then they became tag team champions. They were a pretty good team. They worked out for me. Then Cody became the infamous Stardust for like what, a year and a half? Yeah, that was some bad times. Then in 2006, did he get fired or get released? I think he got fired. He got fired, sent packing. Then from there, he went back to being Cody, but he took out the Rhodes name because he didn't want to be known. He wanted to be, oh, that's Dusty Rhodes' son. No, he wanted to be his own self. So boom, he went to the Indies. He became Cody. He was the American Nightmare. He wasn't the American. He was the American Nightmare, Cody. And then from there, he wrestled some of the best indie wrestlers of the time. Everything like that until 2019. No, let me wind that back before we can get there. He was in Ring of Honor and indie places like Ring of Honor and Impact. He actually was in Impact as well. So he was in a couple places. Then until 2019, where Cody teamed up with the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page, and Chris Jericho, along with Tony Khan, to create what is now known as one of the biggest wrestling promotions in the game today, All Elite Wrestling. Cody Rhodes was the VP. Yes, he was. Then, being in AEW, he was the first ever TNT champion. He was the only 3-time TNT champion. Then from there, he didn't really do much in AEW, which is interesting. But I guess he didn't want that narrative of if he got the world title, then it would be like, oh, well, I guess he just wrote it in. I guess he just booked himself to be world champion. He didn't want that narrative. So being VP and wrestling for the company kind of sucked in that sense. So I understood. Then came the beginning of the year. I think February-ish. He said 47 days. So we're talking about a month and a half ago, in March-ish. That, February, let's say late February, Cody Rhodes became a free agent. And a lot of speculation was going on. He didn't re-sign with AEW. He pretty much left. Now, technically, somebody the stature of Cody Rhodes at this point in time could technically only go one place. I mean, granted, well, he couldn't. Well, say like this, right? When Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor, I think that was about a month ago. When he bought Ring of Honor, everybody thought, oh, Cody Rhodes is gonna be the general manager or the vice president, whatever it was, of ROH, and take that over. And then it would just be like a Cody Rhodes versus Tony Khan type of thing, like AEW versus ROH, like things like that. But that didn't work out like that. So the noise of Cody Rhodes going to WWE didn't start happening until maybe about a month ago, maybe like a couple weeks ago. And it was been told that, oh, he's going to battle Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. So cool. I said it was going to be a great match. It blew my expectations out the water because, quite frankly, it was a fantastic match. It was a 5-star match. Tonight, he came out, pretty much explained why he came back to WWE. And pretty much he's back in WWE because of pretty much the legacy of his father, Dusty Rhodes. Because he said one day he wanted to win the world title and put it in his father's hands. Because I believe the picture that he showed on the big screen was, I believe, September 26, 1977, where Dusty Rhodes had the world title in his hands. And he was just raising it up. Now, mind you, for the people that should know, Dusty Rhodes was never WWE champion. So that was something that a lot of people back then, and probably a lot of people now, always talked about. Why was Dusty Rhodes never WWE champion? When he had all these legendary matches, especially his legendary rivalry with one Ric Flair. Why would somebody with that big of a name come to probably the biggest promotion and never become champion? So Cody pretty much says he's back to pretty much become world champion one day. And he says he missed the opportunity to win the title and put it in his father's hands. But he feels it's still time where he can put it around his waist. So Cody Rhodes is back to become WWE champion. You know what? I ain't mad at it. Quite frankly, I don't, it works for me, Because again, Cody Rhodes worked his way to get this big of a name. And I'm fine with it. I'm fine with Cody Rhodes being where he is. I'm fine with him being treated as big of a star as he's being treated. Because I've been hearing it for maybe about the last couple of days. Well, damn, WWE treated Cody Rhodes as bigger of a star as AEW ever could. And that's hard to say because remember, Cody Rhodes was EVP. So how the hell could he make himself look like a star? Again, if he won the AEW world title there, people would have said, they would have criticized him for it. So, I guess he wrote in his contract to be world champion one day. Some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I get it. And then Cody Rhodes is getting booed out the building and everything like that later on, in his AEW career. So it's like, Cody couldn't really win. Here, he can get treated like a star. He can be a big deal and all this types of things. But only time will tell how things are going to go. Right now, it's looking good. It's looking all right. He just came off a banger of a match. Let's see who else he'll have in front of him and everything like that. We'll see what goes on. Right now, can't really tell you anything. All we can really say is, let's just hope for the best. Let's just hope this second stint is much better than his first. He said he signed a multi-year deal, so he's here for a while. Let's see what he can do in that time. But it is Rose, man. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the love support as always. I got another video on the way. Be on the lookout for it. It will definitely come after this. So, you know, it is what it is, man. So until next time, peace, love, 100. You heard?